In this video, we'll be taking a closer look at drafts. We've previously learned how to load an existing draft, edit and send it out, and now we're going to learn about strategies for managing your drafts and how you could select and send directly from an existing draft. So let's go into our newsletter subscribers database and go into newsletters and drafts. And here we have an overview of all the different drafts that we have available. Previously, we loaded a draft which was called Frez News March template, and we could also see there's this draft here called Frez News template. If we go in here, we can see that this is actually a generic template which has been used to create the March newsletter. So let's look into managing our drafts here, and I don't want to have any extra clutter, so I might, for example, decide to delete the March draft. We've previously sent out this newsletter, and it's in our archive, so this might be a valid operation. Now, the March letter is in our archive, and I can refer to its contents or even copy and paste the text, but I can no longer use that as a starting point for sending out another newsletter. And for that reason, I might want to keep a copy of it here in drafts after all. So maybe I've made some adjustments to the original layout also, and therefore I might even want to make a deletion of the original template. And I could go into Edit for my March draft and rename it in order to indicate that this is the latest and greatest template for making further newsletters. And if it were important to me, I could also even just make the text here generic by adding some Greek text or dummy text. Another thing you may want to do is create a new template based on an existing draft. So I could, for example, make a copy of a draft, which I'll do here. And now I have a draft which I could rename Frez Recipes template, for example. And maybe I'd like to change the logo graphic here, or whatever makes sense, whatever changes may be relevant for the new template you want to create. You'll notice that once I've got this far, that we're actually in the same interface as we were in an earlier episode when we had, after we had chosen our subscribers with various filters and then hit the Send Newsletter button. And it's important to realize here that whether you load a draft from the Send Newsletter interface or if you select a draft from this view, that you're going to be doing the same operations, just with two different starting points. At the bottom, you'll see that we have the same options that we had previously. Because I've just made a copy of an existing draft, it wouldn't be relevant here to do a save as. But note that the same result can be achieved by loading a draft and doing a save as. But for now, I'll just choose Save Draft, and if I were to navigate away from the draft and back into the drafts folder, then I can see that the draft is indeed available to us. In this video, we've learned how to manage our drafts, that is to say how to delete, copy, and rename our drafts so we can identify what their use is, as distinguished from the historical archive of sent newsletters. We've also learned that opening a draft is another entry point for sending out a newsletter. In the next video, we'll be taking a step back and building a newsletter from scratch.